Dr. Wright, you're here today to answer questions about documents and information which were provided on your behalf shortly before and during the trial. Do you understand?
I do.
This is not a chance for you to return to other subjects and try to supplement or improve on your earlier evidence. Do you understand that as well?
I don't believe I need to improve it.
I'm going to ask you primarily about various findings made by Mr. Madden in his 5th report, and then Mr. Gunning is going to ask you primarily about your LaTeX files and overleaf. Do you understand?
Perfectly well.
May I begin with the MYOB records? And let's recap the background to the MYOB records. L5/150, please. If you recall, Dr. Wright, this is one of several supposed screenshots of records from the MYOB accounting system disclosed on your behalf.
I do.
You recognise that it's one of your primary reliance documents?
I do.
And it supposedly shows transfer of node assets from Information Defence to Wright International Investments at a price of £795,000, yes?
I do.
Date 11/08/09. Yes?
Yes.
You're aware that Mr. Madden and Dr. Plax agreed that this and related screenshots weren't authentic to their stated dates and were backdated?
No,
You're aware of that?
What I saw is a lack of understanding of MYOB, no testing, and basically statements without any supposition to support what they said. Whereas they could have actually run up MYOB, they could have had old versions, and they could have tested their suppositions. Instead, each chose not to.
Let's try the answering the question trick, Dr. Wright.
I believe I just did.
They agreed that these were not authentic to their stated dates and had been backdated. Do you understand and are you aware that that is the finding they made?
I understand what they wrote, and I also understand that they had no methodology and no test method. They just said, I've looked at this, I've never seen anything, I've never had any training in MYOB, I've never read anything about MYOB. I looked at a blog, and someone on a blog said something that differs from the MYOB official statement, and I'm going to assume it's true.
Let's address their finding and your explanations for it before we come to the replacement records. Are you aware, do you recall, that Mr. Madden found in the disclosure an email from you to Stephen Shadders attaching a zip file?
I do.
And are you aware, or do you recall, that that contained a file in the MYOB database format?
I do.
And do you recall from that he, Mr. Madden, generated a journal security audit showing transactions being added on the 6th of March 2020?
Yes, he took a file that was used in doing a legally privileged exercise.
Yeah, we'll come to your explanation in a moment, but he generated a journal security audit which showed that transactions were added on the 6th of March 2020, didn't he?
No, what he did was he took a file that was created as part of a legally privileged exercise on that date and analysed and then reflected on a separate file.
H53.1, please. This is a journal security audit which Mr. Madden produced from the database on the zip file, isn't it?
The zip file that had nothing to do with the actual MYOB records, yes.
Again, let's try the trick of answering the question.
I believe I just did.
This is a journal security audit which Mr. Madden generated from the MYOB database on the zip file, isn't it?
This is a extract from the unrelated file that had nothing to do with the MYOB live files, yes.
We'll come to the relation. And it includes, doesn't it, a transaction between Wright International Investments and Information Defence for £795,000 on the date we saw on the screenshot, right?
On the date that I created a copy, yes.
But it shows that transaction, doesn't it?
It shows the date of the copy I made, yes. Not the date of the transaction, no. Again, what you're saying is that this shows the date of the transaction. No, it shows the date when I made the copy.
Now, your story was that the screenshots, the document we saw first, were taken by Ontier using a live login to the MYOB system. Yep.
MYOB Live was provided to Alex Partners first. That was done in 2019, and then to other solicitors in 2019.
We can go back to the transcript, but your story was that those screenshots were taken by Ontier using a live login to the MYOB system, wasn't it?
That's not the way I said. The live login was provided to them. I wasn't involved in the process they used. I provided a live login directly to the solicitors and Alex Partners, and then they did whatever they did. And I'm not going to talk about what my solicitors did.
You denied that the entries in the screenshots resulted from the transaction entries of the 6th of March 2020, which we see in the journal security audit here, didn't you?
The 6th of March document was never provided to the solicitors, and so...
Not saying it was, but you denied that the entries in the screenshots resulted from the transaction entries which had been made on the 6th of March 2020, as shown in the journal security audit, didn't you?
Correct, because they're separate files.
You told the court that Ontier received MYOB login details in late 2019, didn't you?
I did, and I have the emails for it.
And you told the court that the screenshots, including the one we looked at earlier, were taken before the 6th of March 2020, didn't you?
Again, we're going into instructions from my solicitors.
Well, this is something you've already told the court, Dr. Wright, so there's no difficulty with me asking you to...
Well, there is, because if it goes into privilege matters, I'm going to object. He might have got some answer already, but it doesn't entitle him to pursue the issue because privilege has not been waived in respect of any further matters. I accept that the answers that have been given are binding, but I do not accept that it's legitimate to pursue the issue further.
We might have to look at the transcript then.
A transcript for day 3, page 126, please. Line 7, question. Can we at least agree on this? Those documents, those screenshots that we looked at earlier, in relation to which Mr. Madden ran the 2 audits, those are documents which are generated as a result of after you made the entries on the 6th and 7th of March. Can you show me which particular screenshots you're looking at? And I'll make a comment for them. There are multiple screenshots. Then showed on screen L5-151, the one we looked at earlier. Answer, that was made by Ontier. Was this, had you made this entry which gave rise to it on 6th or 7th March 2020? No, I did not. This was actually taken before that date. You gave that answer, didn't you, Dr. Wright?
I did.
And so your story was, in relation to the entries on the journal security audit, was that those showed transactions being added on the 6th of March. Because in the context of the Kleiman litigation, you got somebody to extract information from the online version of MYB into a QIF file, yes?
Along those lines, yes.
And you then laboriously, item by item, entered the transactions into a local version of MYOB, yes?
No, it's not laboriously. There's an automated process. You click a button, so where you actually select everything, I wouldn't call that laborious.
Okay, you entered the transactions into a local version of MYOB.
I did.
Your story was that you did that inputting of entries on the 6th of March 2020, and that had nothing to do with the screenshots, even though they happened to show the same entries, correct?
They don't show the same entries, they're slightly different.
Even though they showed, focusing on that one, that entry for 795,000, right?
No, it's slightly different.
Well, we dispute that, just so it's clear. Now, do you recall that Ontier informed us during your original evidence that they were first provided with login details to produce the screenshots on the 9th of March 2020? Do you recall them providing that information? I can go to the letter if necessary.
I recall what Oliver said.
And do you recall that they informed us that they had subsequently produced the screenshots on or after the 9th of March 2020, including the one that we saw earlier? Yes?
All I know is what I was told by my solicitors at the time.
Let's look at the letter then. M/2/1000. Letter from your solicitors passing on information from Ontier. Under paragraph 2, Dr. Wright first provided this firm with login details for the MYOB accounting software on the 9th of March 2020. We first accessed the software on that same date. We did not have access to MYOB in late 2019. We created a series of screenshots from that system on 9th and 10th March 2020, including screenshots that correlate with the screenshots which appear at doc IDs 4076, 4077, 4078, and 4079. Just for your information, that includes the one at L5150 that we looked at. So, it's right, isn't it, that Ontier did not receive the login details in late 2019, as you said, but on the 9th of March 2020?
No, because Alex Partners received them from a US case in 2019, and Ontier were involved.
And it's also wrong to say that Ontier captured the screenshots before the 6th of March 2020, as you told the court, isn't it?
No, I was informed by them that I was.
And Dr. Wright, that's a lie, isn't it?
From Ontier, maybe, but not from me.
Dr. Wright, the difference between you and Ontier is that Ontier have no reason to lie, while you do. That's correct, isn't it?
Oh, that's totally incorrect.
What do you say is the reason that your solicitors have to lie?
I object to that question. My learned friend is trespassing in territory where he knows that there is likely to be a problem, and I'm going to jump up and object. Actually, with great respect to him, the documents rather speak for themselves.
Yeah, you can probably move on, Mr.
Yep. Well, let me just draw the threads together then. Ontier were given the means to produce the screenshots just 3 days after you had made the entries relating to those very transactions as shown in the journal security audit, right?
No, they never had the screenshots given. They actually made everything themselves. And the MYOB log shows that it was given to Ontier in 2019.
Document that hasn't been disclosed, is that right?
No, actually it was available. So when the login was given to Mr. Plax, that was information that he could have downloaded and did.
Dr. Wright, it was no coincidence that Ontier captured the screenshots, given the access to capture the screenshots, and did so just 3 days after you had made the entries reflecting those, is it?
I don't believe they did it at that date because that had already been submitted to the US court.
The obvious explanation is that the transactions in the screenshots were added by you to the MYOB system as an act of forgery on the 6th of March 2020.
Seeing as screenshots had already been given to the US court, that makes it difficult to believe.
And another assertion by you without anything to back it up, isn't it, Dr. Wright?
Not at all.
Let's see if your team can. Moving to the substitute MYOB records. After the original MYOB records were discredited, you relied on substitute records by giving Dr. Plax access to MYOB databases in the form of active files for Ridge's R&D and Wright International Investments, yes?
No, I gave them earlier. They'd been given to a number of charter accountants and everything like that way before this.
You gave access to Dr. Plax for the purposes of these proceedings, didn't you?
No, I did not. I wasn't involved in any of the access. I didn't have any admin access, etc. So I don't know what the communication between the administration of MYOB and my solicitors was. I wasn't involved in that process at all.
So if Dr. Plax identifies you as the inviting individual, that's wrong, is it?
Correctly. It is absolutely wrong. What I have is my name on the system as the owner for founding the company. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm the person. Craig@Panopticrypt isn't my email anymore, for instance, and the other ones are just the payment emails.
So who do you say at the company gave him access to this material?
Ramona, most likely.
So your wife gave access?
I wasn't involved.
You know that your wife was giving access to this material?
I wasn't involved.
Did you know that your wife was giving access to this material?
I wasn't involved.
Answer the question, please, Dr. Wright. Did you know?
I suspect.
Or not? Sorry?
I suspect, but that's not no. I mean, if I'm not involved, my lord, making a supposition isn't knowledge.
Now, Dr. Wright, can we agree that these records to which access were given were database files in the MYOX format?
No, they weren't. They were a live login. What then happened was a MYOX was exported by Dr. Plax. So once again, it wasn't actually any live testing. We requested that he did live testing on the online database, but instead he downloaded the MYOX and ran it on a local machine.
The database files which he extracted were in the MYOX format. We agree on that, do we?
I believe so. I wasn't actually part of it. But what I do know, as I stated, he didn't use the live database.
In your Appendix B to your 11th witness statement, you described these as MYOX files, didn't you?
That's what were downloaded, but I don't know exactly the process or anything like that.
And are you aware, just as a point of fact, that both Mr. Madden and Dr. Plax concluded that these were created after the 10th of May 2023 on computing equipment with its clock set back to dates between 2007 and 2013?
Again, as I demonstrated, they didn't understand the process that was published on MYOB for a forced update.
You've tried to give an explanation in your 11th statement from paragraph 298, haven't you?
I haven't. What I've done is actually explained it. I haven't tried to give an explanation. I've listed official documents from MYOB and the necessity that they posted for a database upgrade where there were changes to schemas and other such things. It was stated by MYOB that if you don't do this, you can't continue using the product.
We'll come to your explanation in a moment. H20910, please. First addressing the sequence of logins. Now, if we look at paragraphs 32 and 33, we looked at these earlier in your evidence. Mr. Madden addressed the Wright International investment accounts and their session logs. And do you recall that he found a login and logout event for the same session unique identifier separated by over 12 years? Yes?
No, what he's found is information where updates have been done and added on the database.
Just going to ask the question again. Do you accept that he found that there was a login and logout entry in relation to the same session user ID separated by 12 years?
No, I'm telling you, I don't accept his findings. They're completely wrong. They have nothing to do with how MYOB works, and they're contrary to the actual stated positions of the company.
You're just denying what's on the face of the page, aren't you, Dr. Wright?
No, I'm denying that he hasn't actually done any proper work. I mean, I'm actually stating that. So,
Page 17. Mr. Madden carried out an SQL export of the raw data from the Wright International accounts files including a user audit, which was Exhibit 42.5. Do you see that?
I do.
And you see that that contained the same information as in the security session audit, but sorted by sequential ID. That's paragraph 53E. Do you see that?
I see what he said.
Page 21, please. Can we actually have pages 21 and 22 on screen at the same time? '21 and 22. If we look at the bottom of 21 and the top of 22, you found that when the entries were sorted in this way, the dates attributed were out of order. Do you see that?
I do.
In G93, please. This is Mr. Madden's fifth report. He deals with the topic again. And at page 6, paragraph 16, he explains that the user audit export which he undertook was simply an export of the raw data in a format which placed the entries in the order that they've been recorded in the database. Do you understand?
I understand what he's saying. He's just wrong.
Page 7. We'll come to why you say he's wrong in a minute. And in the table, you found a series of dates out of order with entries dated the 6th of June 2023 among the entries dated 2010. Do you see that?
I do.
And that export simply showed the entries in the order they were recorded in the database, didn't it?
No, actually it doesn't. This is related to changes in the schema, etc. So none of this existed in that format back in 2009, 10, etc. Over the years, MYOB have changed their thing and moved into live. The use of live didn't exist until 2017 or 18. Before that, they had a different online package. So all of this references each of the schema updates that have been done by the company. Where there's something that doesn't match a schema and it's been updated, that gets recorded. If you look on the webpage for MYOB, it explains this.
No, Dr. Wright. It is quite simply false that as a result of updating, the user audit export puts the entries which have been made normally in an order out of date sequence. That's just false, isn't it, Dr. Wright?
No, the record IDs get updated. So once again, as it explains on MYOB in some of their technical sites, this happens.
So, Dr. Wright, you're saying that this accounting software has a feature which produces these entirely misleading extracts, correct?
No, what I'm saying is rather than using MYOB Live, they've extracted a MYOX database. The statement I said was that we use and trust the live version of the database, not the extractions. The extractions are updated and the schemas change.
Dr. Wright, Mr. Madden's clear evidence, and it is correct, is that this simply showed the entries in the order that they were recorded in the database.
No, what has happened once again is rather than using the web server where the files are recorded live, they have decided not to use the online data, but to pull one and manipulate it on a local machine. Now, as I explained, you have to either update the schema or stop using it if you're doing that. And the live version forces updates as well.
Dr. Wright, I just have to put to you again, it is simply false that this accounting software, the auditability of which is no doubt important, would produce records that are entirely misleading in the way that you suggest. That's just a lie, isn't it?
No, once again, I stated the live version. Live is run on the secure government version of AWS. Now, the live server has a separate log to the extracted one. The MYOB statement is that live the online database is secure. They also state that the file integrity changes as they update schemas. There are a number of schema changes done in 2020, 2021, 2022 and 2023, some of which were to do with security vulnerabilities that were being addressed.
If these entries had been recorded normally with no backdating, these entries would have been in regular time order as properly functioning software would show. Right, Dr. Wright?
No, the properly functioning software is the live version. Despite being given direct access to the live database, neither of them decided to use it. Rather, knowing after I'd already instructed that there were schema changes and that was a normal feature and pointing it out on the web page, each person decided to use a separate tool. Rather than checking the actual online database that the company uses, they did an extract.
I've put to you, Dr. Wright, that that's all a pack of lies about the operation of the system. Moving on to the software versions recorded. H20917. Now, we can take the other page off screen. H20917, please. One of the exports of raw data which Mr. Madden performed was a DB version info export which recorded the software version used from time to time. Do you recall that?
I recall the thing he called an experiment report, yes.
Page 18, please. We see that table for Wright International Investments. Do you see that it shows the first entry dated the 15th of August 2009 which corresponded to the first recorded login to the file, being shown made with product 0.1.6, yes?
No, that's the schema update version. Again, if he had done a real experiment and created a file and uploaded it, which I've now done, by the way, you would now see this.
Dr. Wright, we're not interested in your inadmissible experiments, which none of the independent experts have carried out or verified.
That's exactly my point. None of them bothered to do an experiment. None of them actually tested.
Dr. Wright, just to be clear, your experiments are all, which you're giving as hearsay, are all disputed and inadmissible. So let's focus on the evidence which is before the court.
Which also includes the MYOB site data from the company who stated this on their website.
Dr. Wright, ignoring your digressions and your inadmissible hearsay and focusing upon the document before the court, the product version 2023.4.1.6 dates from May 2023, doesn't it?
I don't know. That's when a schema update occurred.
Page 19, please. Mr. Madden found that 2023.4 dated to May 2023. Do you accept that finding?
Yes, I accept that a schema update occurred on that date.
Page
as MYOB
21.
says.
He specifically dated this version to the 15th of May 2023. We see that at the top of the page. Do you accept that finding?
I do.
Let's go to your witness statement. CSW 156, please. Paragraph 300. You say that in December 2012 there was a transition in your MYOB systems from a local version of the MYOB Business Edition to a subscription-based MYOB Account Write Live version, correct?
Yes, it wasn't called Live back then, but it was basically what is now called Live. It was the online sort of update where you save the file.
Paragraph 301, you say that MYOB regularly updates its software, and the effect is when you access a file on MYOB years after its creation, MYOB implements updates which may alter schema and semantics. Do you see that?
I do, which is supported by Madden's findings. Where you look at the different versions, your assumption is that I've created a file. Yet if I created that file, there would be one version, which was May. There wouldn't be the subsequent versions. Those subsequent versions demonstrate that there are schema updates as some of these changes are occurring, after even Plax had been given a login.
We're not disputing that updates occur to the MYOB system. Page 57.
But you are disputing the fact that you just showed where updates had occurred to the very information that you're saying was added.
Dr. Wright, we're coming to this, but what I'm going to dispute is the idea that the updates create misleading information. Page 57, paragraph 304. You say that older versions of AccountWright are decommissioned as updates are released. So a person using an older version has to update, and that happens automatically, yes?
Well, you have to click a button. MYOB put a thing on the website saying you must update now, and if you don't click the button, you basically stop using your accounts.
In paragraph 306, you say again that updates make changes to schema and semantics, yes?
As noted on the MYOB site.
And then you say that when Alex partners were provided access to the platform, they would have accessed the system as it was then, and it would have undergone updates later.
There would have been updates occurring the whole time.
Page 58, paragraphs 308 to 9. You say that when your wife engaged accountants in 2023 to access the files, an upgrade would have happened, and that would have taken place, broadly speaking, automatically. Is that right?
You have to click the button. If you don't click the button, you don't access it. So then it updates. Once you click accept, it happens.
You say that that accounts for Mr. Madden's extract of raw data showing a 2009 entry associated with a May 2023 software version, correct?
Not in the way that you're implying. The note there is the version of schema being used. So what happens is as they update anything, like they said in that page you showed from MYOB, where they're fixing errors with certain things, that applies.
Mr. Madden's extract showed a 2009 entry associated with a May 2023 software version, and this is your explanation, right?
No, what his thing shows is the schema applied to that record. So when you download the MYOX, it applies the schema, and then it says what schema version is being used on that record.
Okay. Well, first of all, that's disputed, but before we get to Mr. Madden's latest findings, your position is that the entry which gives the 2023 software version in that table is accounted for by this upgrade process, correct?
Yes, as it notes on the MYOB site, and as when you look at their technical details, or you do their technical training, it will tell you.
No, it doesn't, Dr. Wright. That's a lie too, isn't it?
No, actually, I've shown the webpage multiple
G99,
times.
please.
Otherwise, the software wouldn't recognise the particular schema version.
G99, please. Mr. Madden downloaded the installation file for all the versions of the MYOB software currently available on the website. Paragraph 22, do you see that?
No, he didn't. There were far more. In fact, I can give you versions of MYOB based on my licenses, which he could have used going back to 1997. All of those are actually still available and downloadable.
Do you dispute that he downloaded the program versions which are shown in the table under paragraph 22?
They're not program versions, they're schema update versions. So he's downloaded the version and then and these are patches. So what he's saying is incorrect.
Well, that's another point that's disputed.
Not by MYOB, it's on their website.
Dr. Wright, once again, can you stick to evidence that's before the court?
Actually, I put it in my 11th witness statement and I listed the site. So it is.
It's a document that was not among those which were applied for as new documents to be relied upon by you. So it's not before the court, Dr. Wright. Looking at the downloads here, you found that the downloads were recorded in accordance with the order of their creation. Do you see?
Basically the order of the update.
He found that they did not cause, when those versions were downloaded, they didn't have the effect of causing earlier records to be updated. They continued to show the version of the software which was used to author each entry as before. That was what he found and recorded at paragraph 24. Are you calling him a liar?
No, I'm saying he didn't do an experiment. What he would need to do is have a different entry and have the schema change. So to have schema changes, what you're going to have is something like a record. So as an example, rather than creating his own, he could have taken one of the earlier MYOX files that I supplied and then looked at those and made changes, maybe replicated the same information on an older version. From there, he could have seen what happens when it's updated, but he didn't do that.
And he recorded that, paragraph 25, that the software updates may change the appearance of program windows, but they don't change the content of the database recording past activity, do they?
Actually, they do, and as I just explained, a proper experiment would be to use an earlier version, maybe replicate some of the records, make some small changes to the schemas, and then update and see what happens. Load it and check again.
The reality is simple. The log records a 2023 software version against an entry because the entry was made with that version of the software.
No, actually it doesn't. And once again, what he's doing is doing all of this offline. So at no point did he then load that onto MYOB Live. Now, the comments on schema changes that are forced are MYOB Live. I've emphasized the whole time, we use MYOB Live, the database that is held on an AWS secure web server, and we do it that way. None of those logs were analysed, and none of those were tested.
It would be a pretty serious flaw in this accounting system if ordinary upgrades had the bizarre effect of altering past activity records to show them as thoroughly misleading, wouldn't it?
No, these are not misleading. This shows the schema record on the local version. As I keep saying, the live version of the database is the one that needs to be trusted. And that's the one that he just refused to check for some reason. Despite being able to download from AWS the records, despite having a secure version with the login, no one would check that.
Dr. Wright, this is accounting software used for business records. It's supposed to be reliable and auditable, isn't it?
Yes, MYOB Live. The statement by the site is the live version is secure. So downloading and doing the other, this is a schema record on your local machine. MYOB state categorically that you give the accountants an access to the live system.
They do not say anywhere, and there is nothing in any public information to suggest that when you extract data in the way that Mr. Madden did, it will record the wrong version of software against the entry which was identified for a particular date.
No, what it's recording is the schema update. Again, if you go to the MYOB Live version that for some reason Mr. Madden seemed to avoid, then you get different information.
Dr. Wright, these are lies without any support, aren't they?
Maybe on the other side, but I'm telling you categorically, I gave you, as was demonstrated in the evidence you just provided, a login, which I believe came from my wife, to the live version of the database. Rather than using the live version...
Dr. Plax, didn't she? Gave that to Dr. Plax.
I'm not involved, so I don't actually know, but the live version was available. And if Mr. Plax has it, then Mr. Madden can ask for it, I believe, as far as I'm concerned. I've been told that anything that my expert gets, the other expert gets too.
Now go to the now we return to the DB version info records, G/9/8, please. So the May 23 version is associated with records given dates from 15th August 2009, isn't it?
Like it says there, schema version change, yes.
The June 2023 version is associated with records given dates from the 14th of June 2023, isn't it?
No, these are schema, like what you'll see in the second to right column is schema major version.
Oh,
so each of these are schema updates. These are not software updates.
There is a schema version associated with the product version, not disputing that.
Like I said, every time you have a schema update on a record, it records it because it needs to match the schema used in the particular record.
Dr. Wright, these entries are consistent with the log recording the software version used to author records from time to time, aren't they?
No, on the local MYOX version that he would have known if he checked it, this is a schema for the record.
And if
The
updates...
database, which is an SQL database online, has to match and give these. So the schema recorded, mapped in a table that can be pulled from the live version, says exactly this. So if you checked the live version and done a SQL database analysis of MYOB live, you would see that these are where the schemas have updated and forced update on a record.
Right, if updates had the effect of altering previous records to show the new software version, we wouldn't see 6 different product versions, we'd see 1, wouldn't we?
No, actually you see the version of schema being updated.
Because on your version, you have to say, not that all updates have this bizarre effect, but that only some updates do, don't you?
As per the image you showed before, the schema had updates to only 2 types of records, and only those updates apply. So if those records are updated, that's all that occurs.
So the records would be doubly misleading for this accounting system, wouldn't they, Dr. Wright?
No, the accounting system's perfectly fine. MYOB Live, the online version, is the main thing. It's like if you use Xero or something else. The live online system on a secure government AWS server is the system. When you pull down the records, it's not designed to say the pull-down records that you're running on a local computer are secure.
Page 5,
The
please.
statement from the company is the live records are secure.
Another point, file types. We've agreed that the database files to which you gave Dr. Plax access were in the MYOX format, yes?
I do.
You agree that the MYOX format was first introduced in April 2016.
Yes, they changed the format, as I noted.
Previously, the file type in use had been the MYO format, hadn't it?
I believe so, yes.
And before the MYOX format was introduced in April 2016, the software didn't record a session ID, a universal unique identifier reference in the logs, did it?
I'm not actually sure, but the web integrates all of that.
Well, we'll come to that. Mr. Madden's researches indicated that the software in the MYO format, so before April 2016, did not record a session ID reference in the logs for entries. Are you able to dispute that?
Oh, totally. What you do is you have an MYO. I've got actual records that are in the disclosure platform going back to 1997. Now, those MYO files, when you load them into a live database, and I checked this, adds the session ID of the user. So the system actually adds it. So the session ID, when it's blank, is filled in.
That's wrong, isn't it, Dr.
No, it's a very, very simple experiment. So I keep, all through my stuff, I've said my system is live, the live database. I'm not relying on the local one. I have said that for years now. I've been sitting there going, you need to use live. I have emphasized this. You must use live. Now, a simple experiment would be take one of those old files. You could have pulled any of the ones going back to De Morgan 1998, for instance. You could have run it and loaded it onto a free version of live because they give you a trial period. That experiment would then say, I'm going to pull down the MYOX file because you can no longer download the MYO file after you load it to live. You can only download an MYOX and have a look at it. And when you do, it just happens to be exactly like I said. Very simple experiment that anyone could do.
Dr. Wright, that's first of all not in evidence and secondly false. The fact is that when the content is imported from a previous MYO file into the MYOX format, it just brings across the information which is already in the MYO file format. That's right, isn't it?
Utterly wrong. Again, you've got to go to the live system. Again, you're sitting there going, we refuse to do an actual experiment of the actual environment Craig had because we might get the data that he says.
Dr. Wright, you're refusing to answer the question. The point being made is that this system does not create session ID references which were not recorded in the file format that existed in 2009 and apply them retrospectively, does it?
No, Live does. Like I said,
No,
you
it doesn't.
update and you fill in the records. Yes, you cannot load an MYO file into Live and not have that filled out. It will not do a NAR as in a non-entry in the system. When there's a blank, my lord, the Live system adds it to SQL.
So, Dr. Wright, we have three independent reasons why these records have been backdated. First of all, we have the login sessions out of time order, yes?
No.
Secondly,
Explain that.
we have 2023 software versions recorded for 2009 and 10 entries, right?
No, we have schema versions. When on the MYOB website, there is a notice saying that the schema update occurred on those dates.
I'm not disputing updates, Dr. Wright.
No, you're disputing the fact that MYOB on their website states that these schema changes will occur.
Dr. Wright, we've been round the houses on this. I'm disputing that the system creates misleading entries.
Oh, it's totally not misleading because the
Thirdly-
Live system has the data.
Thirdly, we have session ID numbers recorded, which would not have been recorded for the file type in use in 2009.
No, because it's not using the file system. As I noted, when you load, which would have been back in 2016-17, into the new format of Live, and MyOx was there, you have to do the update. So you can't keep using an MYO file. It just doesn't allow you. MYOB forces you to upgrade. You don't have a choice.
Well, Dr. Wright, to put to you that is your explanation for these anomalies is false, as both the independent experts found.
No, I'll actually put to you that neither of them tested. Both of them seem to refuse to check my environment. Despite writing pages and pages about using MYOB Live, both of them refused to ever log in and check the Live system.
So you, the person who completely lacks independence, are the only person who's right in this?
No, actually, I had a chartered accountant analyse it, had a third-party accountant analyse it, went to MYOB experts and spoke to them, have an accountant who works for me, verified all of this. I also went and spoke to people who work at MYOB. I went through their web pages, and that's why I pulled those pages stating exactly what I said.
Papanema emails and attachments. On day 4 of this trial, I asked you about emails you claimed to have received from Dennis Mayaka using the email address papanema@gmail.com. Yes.
Yes.
Is it right that at least in 2014, Mr. Mayaki worked for Abacus Seychelles, which provided corporate formation services?
No, in 2014 he was actually leaving. He left Abacus, I believe, in about July.
Okay, we disagree about that, but he did in the past work for Abacus Seychelles, which provided corporate formation services, yes?
Between 2009 or 8 and 9 and mid-14.
Okay, we disagree about the dates, but Abacus Seychelles provided corporate formation services, right?
Yes, they did.
And we can agree that he arranged your acquisition of companies, including Wright International Investments and Tulip Trading, although we disagree over the dates, yes?
No, we can't. I didn't acquire companies. I formed a company. So they're very different structures.
Okay, well, we disagree about that, but he provided services in relation to those companies, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
You say that he now lives in Nairobi, Kenya, correct?
He does.
You claim to have received 2 emails from him from the Papanema email address on the 10th of September 2023, yes?
No, I had multiple emails from him. I provided 2 emails.
On the 10th of September, you've provided 2 emails that he sent you.
Yes,
You say that these are genuine emails.
they are.
And you say that your request, which ultimately led to these emails being sent, was for him to provide invoices for Wright International and Tulip Trading and other files relating to those companies from the 2009 to 11 period, yes?
I believe the request speaks for itself.
Well, is it right that you...
I made a request for him to send documentation to Stephen Matthews, yes.
Focusing on what the documentation was, you say in your 11th witness statement that it was invoices for Wright International Investment and Tulip Trading and other files relating to those companies for the 2009-11 period. Is that right or wrong?
Yeah, that's correct.
CSW/24, please. This is ID 00T6564. Email attaching 3 files. The writer Papanima says that they've attached files associated with Craig's companies from 2009 to 2012. Do you see that?
I do.
And the email attaches 3 files, CWrite.zipx, timedoc2.zip, and timedoc2.pdf. Do you see that?
I don't see the attachments, but I know that they were there.
Do you see the names of the attachments just under the subject line? Attachments. CWrite.zipx.
I see that, yes.
Timedoc2.zip, timedoc2.pdf.
I do.
Is it right that CWrite.zipx contains supposed invoices from Abacus for corporate services?
I believe that's so.
TimeDoc2 was a Timecoin paper,
I believe that's true.
and TimeDoc2 zip contained a single document, another version of the Timecoin paper, which was hash identical to the PDF document which was attached. It was the same document.
I don't know. I didn't open the zip, the TimeDoc2 zip.
Well,
I'll take your word for it.
well that was the finding by Mr. Madden. You don't dispute it.
I don't.
And just looking at the bottom of this email, why does it have a Tulip Trading signature block at the bottom?
Because I've replied.
Go to the top.
If you follow the line down next to my name,
Yep.
keep going down on the email, you'll see that the Tulip Trading is associated with me. So that's my response. So Tulip Trading is from my reply, Craig at RCJBR.
So your personal email on RCJBR had a Tulip Trading signature block, did it?
There's only one email. Tulip Trading, Craig at tuliptrading.net, Craig at rcjbr.com, and Craig at rcjbr.org are all the same Google address. It has 3 emails for the one mailbox.
Since when have emails from Craig at rcjbr.org had a Tulip Trading signature block at the bottom?
A long time. Depends on which computer I'm using. As I noted, they're all the same Google mailbox. So rcjbr.org, rcjbr.com, and Craig at tuliptrading.net are all one email, as in email box, with different domains and aliases.
So you say that depending on the computer you were using, the signature block might or might not be there.
Correct. Signature blocks generally filled out in, like the client. So if I'm on one client, I might have a different signature block to another.
Thank you. CSW25-1, please. Second email on the 10th of September 2023. You see here another email which you've provided, supposedly from Papanima to you, providing passwords for the attachments.
It's not supposedly, it was.
And you claim to have received another 2 emails from Mr. Mayaka at the Papanima address on the 29th of September 2023, don't you?
No, I submitted more emails. I've had more than that for Papanima, for Dennis. I've had more communications with Dennis than just these, but I submitted certain ones.
If we look at those emails, CSW26-1, is that an email forwarding a zip file containing images of a computer screen, which we considered earlier?
It is.
CSW27-1. This is an email supposedly explaining that Mr. Ager Hansen had asked for those images to be sent. Do you see that?
Yes.
Do you see that the author of this email has written in the last paragraph, you know I've been loyal and I'm always going to be, I've worked for you for 14 years and I know to be loyal. Do you see that?
I do.
Now, back to the email at CSW25-1, please. Just to be clear, you say that the signature block would depend upon the place from which you log in.
Correct.
Well, just to point out, that's not accepted, that's disputed, but you maintain that.
You can actually set signatures in your machine. So I have a lot of default ones, but you just go into the user settings, you go to signatures. If you want, I can talk you how to do it.
No, that's fine. Disputed it. Top of the first page. Would you accept the recorded time zone offset for this email and the others, including both those on the 10th of September and those on the 29th of September with GMT plus 1 hour?
Yes, Dennis works on London time. Most of his clients are English.
So you say that he had his systems set to be at that time, although he worked in Kenya?
Yes, because most of his clients are English. The majority of clients he sets up companies in the Seychelles, Panama and everything like that happen to be British. Most of them related to large British companies as well. British seem to like having these sort of companies.
But the time zone is certainly consistent with somebody writing from the UK as well, isn't it?
No, it's consistent with someone doing work in the UK. I used to have my time zone set to America when I was doing American work.
Moving to the document itself, CSW 31.1, the time.2 PDF document. This was a document attached to the Papa Nima email, and as I've said to you, both as a PDF and as a PDF within a zip file, correct?
I'm taking your word for it. I didn't actually open the zip file, but I believe you.
We see it's headed Timecoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system.
I do.
And it presents itself as a document put forward by your company, Information Defence, yes?
It was.
And it's dated in its Adobe properties to the 9th of April 2009, 6 months after the release of the Bitcoin white paper. Is that the date you say it was produced?
That would be about then, yes, for this.
And it describes, or you've described it in your 11th witness statement as an extended version of the time-stamping server you were using in Bitcoin that you were using commercially. Is that right?
That's correct.
And it was drafted in OpenOffice 3.0, wasn't it?
No, actually it was drafted in OpenOffice with MyTech extensions. So once again, I used OpenOffice to type, but then linked that to LaTeX.
It was putting to you that it was drafted using a version of OpenOffice, which is 3.0, which can still be downloaded.
All of the versions of OpenOffice can be downloaded, as can all of the plugins to do with LaTeX and MyTech.
So can we agree at least on this, that it would have been perfectly possible to write this document today and backdate its timestamp?
I mean, it would be possible that unicorns exist and really rule the world as part of the Illuminati.
It would be technically possible to do that without much difficulty, wouldn't it?
I don't go into ridiculous sort of elves and Illuminati run the world statements. Is it technically possible that something, that the world is really a dream and that God will wake up tomorrow and we will not be here? Yes.
Can we concentrate on the question? Is it technically possible to do what Council suggested today?
It's technically possible to, in a hex editor, add zeros and ones one by one and create the document. The effort required would be phenomenal. So, I mean, what they're saying is
I'm not sure that was Council's suggestion. What his question was, it would have been perfectly possible to write this document today and backdate its timestamp. Pretty simple question.
I don't think it would be feasible, my lord. I think it would actually lead to changes. The software available online isn't the same versions. The ones that are downloaded are the patched ones with no security problems. This means that I would have to have a version of the software that isn't the one downloaded, that it would just be sitting in my drawer waiting for me to do it, on a version of Windows including all the old patches, then zipped with an old zip X thing that doesn't exist anymore, I don't think it's feasible. I think the reason that no one's showing you could do this is I don't believe it's feasible. The difference would be the versioning would be the new versions that are downloadable, not the patched versions that weren't. While I guess you could probably find the source code, unpatch the source code, rebuild the unpatched versions, find Windows, remove the patches that Microsoft forces, and do it. I mean, technically that's possible, but it's like saying I could guess a private key. It's possible that I could just guess a private key. It just isn't feasible.
Dr. Wright, just before our break, this point, so that it's been put to you. As Mr. Madden's found, it would just be a matter of downloading the software available today and rewriting this document to produce a forgery. That's all it would involve, isn't it?
No. As you note, it's a version that is an unpatched version. So you would have to actually download the source code, remove the patching, go back to a vulnerable version of OpenOffice that was patched intentionally and removed. You could probably find that if you talk to the right developers, which I haven't done. Most of them are associated with Copa. And then build a version, but that would be a huge effort. I'm talking a month of work for a document.
That's disputed. My lord, would that be a convenient moment for a break?
Yeah, we'll take 5 minutes.
All rise.